Yeah, maybe, but the racket will talk.
Welcome to another episode of the Racket Will Talk podcast. No idea what number we're on now, because we had those Wimbledon final previews that were kind of semi-episodes or whatever. But we've had some time to digest after the end of Wimbledon, which I think I needed. And we're here to do a bit of a review about the 2 weeks, which, as we have mentioned a few times, both of us attended. How you doing?
Doing great.
Happy with the results?
You can say that.
I actually haven't spoken to Sam since, but if this is where you get your tennis news from, Jannik Sinner and Iga Swiatek won the men's and women's Wimbledon's singles. Wow, that's hard to say, respectively. So there's a lot of people who seem to be fans of both of those players. So
there's some overlap, but I don't think it's like a huge thing.
I've been seeing a lot of what are they calling it? Sin Iga content? No, Jan Iga.
Yeah, I think it's because of Wimbledon, like the whole dance thing, they kind of like incentivize it, not intentionally, but that's how it goes, kind of.
Right, but there's like not very many Alcaraz Krejcikova fans, because last year people weren't going crazy.
There are other reasons for that, I suppose.
What? There are Krejcikova fans?
Sure, just not as many.
I think it's like Iga fans are very sincere, Jannik fans are very sincere, Carlos fans are very sincere.
Yeah, very intense.
Krejcikova fans just don't take shit seriously like that. Yeah, so they're not making like cutesy edits about how sweet these introverts are. Anyway, Jannik triumphed, got some revenge over Alcaraz for the Roland Garros final, and won the men's singles title at Wimbledon. So he has now got 3/4 of his career slam. He was 1 point away from all of them, which is just wild to think about from where we were.
I will say that's only a thing in theory, because you can always argue that maybe, if she had won RG, she would have been one slam away from having like 4 in a row. So maybe that's on his mind and she performs worse or something. It makes sense, to think, oh yeah, there is a world in which she wins that, and then if she wins Wimbledon again, it's a crazy thing. But he didn't do it, so and you can't like ignore the pressure of like how it stacks up. The further along you go on one of those like calendar year slam quests, the further you go along, the harder I think it is to cope with the fact that you're on the way.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, that is, and I talk about that a lot when people talk about how Sabalenka should have won the calendar slam and blah blah blah, all this kind of nonsense. More accurately, he has been at least or at most 1 point away from winning every single Grand Slam.
Yes, that is true.
And I do really believe that, again, it's if Carlos had lost Roland Garros, I think he would have won Wimbledon. That's just my personal kind of take on how events transpired. Anyway, Jannik and Iga now both 3/4 of the way along to their career slam. Jannik missing Roland Garros and Iga missing the Australian Open, and Alcaraz, of course, still missing the Australian Open. So kind of an exciting prospect for those 3 all-time greats we've got at the moment. Sabalenka also round and about there, missing 2. Coco missing 2. They are further away, of course, but also in that conversation. Yeah. So that's a bit of what happened in the finals. What do you want to start with, in detail, talking about men's or women's?
Let's start with the ATP.
Okay.
Oh no, that's a tradition.
Yeah, we get the boring stuff out of the way first, and then you can get onto the fun bits. And, although the finals were the way that they were, I think the women's one was more interesting.
Huh. That's a pretty hot take, I would say. Yeah.
If I'm going to go, yeah, I think that's true. I think that's the match I would sooner rewatch. That's the match that during it I was like more engrossed. Not because I thought it was dramatic and I was like, ooh, what's going to happen next, who's going to win this match. Definitely not. But it felt a lot less, a lot more surprising, far more surprising. Because really the Carlos Jannik match went like exactly the way, if you were to predict a boring outcome, that would have been it. It would have been, you know, some exciting points, but on the whole, pretty standard level tennis. Always, apart from, you know, one small moment, it always looked like Jannik was in control. So, you know, that's my take on it.
It's, and I guess in some ways, it's basically the RG final. If it had ended in 4 sets, you know, it would have been pretty similar narratives, pretty similar things that happened, the way the match was like dictated. That would have felt like very similar matches. They ended up not being that, you know, because our RG final ended up being, you know, the best match ever and all of that.
I'm glad you're on this.
Oh yeah, I've been on it.
Good.
And this match was pretty standard in many ways. I was actually, for the first 2 sets, a bit annoyed at both of them, really, because they were both actually not playing great, I don't think. Like Carlos had like some pretty great moments at the end of the first, and Jannik had like a fantastic like hold to close out the second. But beyond that, it was just honestly kind of rough in some ways. I don't know how you felt watching them. The first 2 sets especially, I didn't think were really good.
Yeah, I think almost exactly the same as that. Like, Jannik was serving badly, and it was frustrating to watch, because you just felt like he kind of has to be the one that dictates the level, and then Carlos has to meet him at that. I always thought for a while, aside from a few matches every now and then where Carlos is like on fire and is happy to beat down his opponent, he kind of plays at the level that the opponent brings. And Jannik has to be the one who comes in and kind of takes this shit seriously and says, this is how well we're going to play, and this is how well you're going to have to play to match me or beat me. And then Carlos goes, fine, okay. And I do think the fact that he was serving was it really low percentage, right?
Yeah, it was 2 things. He went up 4-2 actually. He started decently well. The way he broke Alcaraz actually the first time was pretty impressive. Hit huge like backhand down the line to take it. So it felt like he actually was the one who started playing well first. But then up 4-2, yeah, his serve like kind of deserted him for like 2 or 3 service games at least. And not only was he not making that many first serves, when he made them, they were like not great first serves. He like missed his targets by like quite a lot. So it's like kind of rough. And Alcaraz, yeah, was returning better, had some highlight worthy points as per usual, and he ended up, you know, completely grabbing the set by the horns and having quite a lot of momentum coming out of it. But yeah, that's how it unfolded. And beyond the serving for Jannik, I just didn't feel like he was hitting as hard as he usually does, like just on like normal volleyballs. Like the sound sometimes wasn't quite right. It was like, ooh, that's not really good sign for someone that's his thing, you know, like belting every ball.
I think he was nervous, you know, which is strange, because I don't think I often see him come out and start a match looking tight or nervous, but I noticed that he was missing more than you'd expect him to, because when he's playing really well, I find him to be like, it's so relentless, and he just barely ever misses. It's like, again, it's like if Djokovic hit way harder than he does, you know, like Djokovic when he was a little bit younger, it's like really, really consistent depth and just completely suffocating, but very rarely giving you anything for free, making you earn it. And I just thought that he looked, yeah, that his ground strokes kind of looked off as well as the serve. And, you know, regardless of that, he got himself a lead. Carlos clawed his way back in, and like you said, the last game, some great points, and one in particular. And I think as well that kind of was almost disappointing, because you think, right, now it's going to light up. this is the point of the match where we can start getting, they get into it and we get into it as well. And that happened. There was a few times when that happened. It looked like something was brewing, and it never really picked up steam. And I think that's almost more disappointing than just almost flat the whole way through.
Yeah, I think it was surprising the way, Alcaraz really had good momentum coming out of that first set. He kind of stole it, sort of. He was the one who was down, but then he won 4 games in a row. So it's like, now I guess he's in a great position. That's pretty bad news for Sinner, who would have wanted to, start great right away, to maybe put the RG final behind him or start doing that, but that didn't happen. So the second set starts and Alcaraz plays a pretty terrible service game, and now he's on a break. It's huh? Why? It didn't really make sense, and it's not like the level really picked up from there from either of them. I guess Sinner started serving a bit better, so he was able to buy himself some holes to stay ahead in the second set, but he just never really, I guess, lit up until he had to serve it out, and that was, the first big, I guess, pressure moment, because if you remember in the RG final, they kept failing to serve sets out. So it's not like it was, of course he's going to hold to take it, but he played, I mean, a really amazing game to take it. It felt like it kind of all unlocked the serve, the movement. That first point of the game was a great steal where he ran a lot, and then
it was the passing shot.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, Alcaraz had him completely beat, and then he played a decent volley, but not great, and Sinner ran up to it super fast and made a passing shot, and then he had 2 glorious running forehands to close out the set. So now it's maybe actually he has found some fire. The movement suddenly looked better, and finally the ball sounded right, right off his racket, the way you would want him to play. The way actually it sounded in the semi-final as well. And now it's they were both kind of not great for the first 2 sets, but at least they're tied, so now maybe we get a great match. But actually what happened is Sinner maintained, I think, a good level all the way throughout set 3 and 4, and Alcaraz didn't really made it. He never really got into either set. He got broken at I think it was 4 in the third, and then at a similar, I think actually no, even earlier than that in the fourth, and Sinner kind of just kept holding.
I think wasn't the fourth this kind of similar to the second set? It was he went down 2-love, broken in his first service game or something.
Yeah, maybe it was that's 2-1, but yeah, it was fairly early that Alcaraz got broken. Shout out, maybe I think it was in the third set when Alcaraz did have a chance to break back, which would have probably been a fairly big shift or swing in momentum.
Was it not in the fourth? I could have sworn, because it was he was coming towards that time.
Yeah, he had 2 opportunities. Okay. He had one mainly in the third and one in the fourth. Both were out towards the end of the set. But Sinner on one of the, I think it was on the only break point that Alcaraz got in that set, he had a second serve, which is maybe something can happen here. But he hit it really, really big on a great target out wide, and Alcaraz couldn't make the return, and he missed a bunch of return that he should have made. That one was way too good of a second serve on that big moment, and that told you he thinks he's got it. That's he's going for it. He isn't oh well, maybe I'll miss. Maybe I'll be fine. No, he went for it. He didn't. I guess he didn't even let Alcaraz into the point. I guess that was his main goal, and he found it. He managed it. Yeah.
I think. Was it not then in the fourth set, Alcaraz, he did something that made him gas himself up. He was about to go down a double break and held. I think because there was a moment at the changeover where
so it was a tight hold from him, and then Yeah.
And I think it was a changeover just before Sinner was about to either serve for the match or serve to it was like 1 or 2 games away from and he had break points again. This is the 4th set, right?
Yeah, in the 4th set he had 2 break points. Sinner was 15-40 down, and Alcaraz honestly kind of let us go. I mean,
he did.
It was a second serve that actually was fine, but it wasn't untouchable. And I think he missed the return. So Sinner went up, went back to 30-40, and then they played a rally, which was decent, like decent quality rally, but Alcaraz kind of like missed first, and then Sinner held, and that was kind of it.
I found it so interesting because I was like, this could either be the Roland Garros final again, or this is like an alternate timeline where, like you said, the match went in a really similar way, but even he had those opportunities late on, and it's like, if he'd done it again, you'd be like, fucking hell, this guy's the best player ever. But he didn't, and instead we see, right, okay, this is an actual rivalry where both players will have their ups and downs and their successes and everything. I thought, and the vibe did seem different throughout. I don't think his energy was as high, and I think a low energy match is a match that suits Sinner better, that Sinner would rather play. He's like I don't like this thing about him being, he's a machine, whatever, but he is, his technique, it's so good and so reliable, and his game is so solid and consistent, shout out for Gula, that if you've got a match where it's like us just kind of playing this level, you back him every time. You need Carlos to like feel the moment and to get hyped up and have the ups and downs, and it didn't have that. It's difficult because the players have to create it themselves, but then how do you create it from nowhere? Like you need, it's so, doesn't Bruce Springsteen say, I actually don't like him at all, starting a fire without a spark.
I don't have that difference, but
no,
that sounds plausible.
I don't like his music. He's a skip every time.
Okay.
But, and what was I going to say? Something else.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense, and I think I tweeted about it. It makes a lot of sense that Alcaraz won like this crazy match with like tons of momentum swings, and Sinner wins just like fairly comfortable, straightforward affair. It kind of makes sense in many ways. It makes sense for the personalities, for the tennis as well. But yeah, I do actually think it's a good thing for the rivalry, so it's not
a great thing.
Yeah, that it's. They showed the head-to-head when the match started, and I think it was 4-8, and it's like, that doesn't really sound right, Maybe it's because I like Sinner, so I feel on his behalf that he should be doing better in that rivalry, but Alcaraz, performed great in those matches, and he deserved a bunch of those wins, but he isn't like twice as good as Sinner. That's not a thing. I
think, it's always been such an interesting rivalry because they were always close, even when Alcaraz was the far better player overall. He was one of the best in the world. Sinner was like outside the top 10, but he would always play Carlos close. And then recently, when Sinner's become the best player in the world, Carlos has been the only guy who can beat him. So that's why I think it feels wrong, is because you've got a 5-0 run from Carlos while Sinner has been like almost entirely impenetrable. So it's like, is this a period of dominance for him in the rivalry, but a period of dominance on the tour for Sinner?
Yeah.
So yeah, 6-0, 2 slam finals back to back, like it would have been, that wouldn't have made sense, and it would have been I think a bit of a bad thing for the rivalry. And also you'd have Carlos on 3 Wimbledon titles back to back to back. Like, as much as I like him, but I think it's overall the best outcome, this.
Yeah, and I guess it also it doesn't make sense for people to expect the RG final every match. That's
I'm still gonna expect it.
Sure, but it's, first of all, it's not possible. First thing, and also I guess if it happens every match, I guess it's also a bit less exciting.
Yeah, of course. Well, I don't know. It
would be great every time, probably, but still, I think it's good for it to be like this exceptional moment that we remember, and not just every match they play is kind of like this.
I obviously didn't watch like all of them live because I was quite young, but I do think like Djokovic Nadal matches were, on the whole, they obviously weren't all as good as the Roland Garros final, but I do think the average one was a lot better than that match. And in Slam finals, or Slam matches, they were better than that Wimbledon match.
I guess it depends. There were some beatdowns as well here and there.
Yeah, that's true. They weren't. Yeah, and honestly, I mean, the Beijing match was great. I thought the Rome match was like fine actually, considering
first set was pretty good.
Yeah, the first set was pretty good, and I didn't really mind that it wasn't carried on throughout. I remember what I was going to say. On the point of Jannik wanting a slightly dull match, I'm wondering whether this becomes an approach for him. Whether he, again, I'm going to shout out Pegula. I think she literally has a game plan of how to beat players, which is like not quite bore them to death, but she doesn't have to use her weapons and try and be aggressive against people because she knows that she's better off playing like solid. And she could not play like that. Like if someone said to her, you win tennis by giving us highlight reels and that's how we're going to reward the trophies, she would play in a different way. I think she plays this way because she knows it's the most successful way to play. I wonder if Jannik starts approaching these matches being like, let's keep the energy low, let's kind of bore Carlos, and whether that's something he can even control.
I think it goes back to like the tactics he wants to apply. It's just the key for him to winning that in that matchup is serve return domination, and what that often means is really short points, anti-serve, barely any rallies, or like 2-shot rallies, serve +1, winner, boom, it's done. And then, some good returns that will sometimes make Carlos miss. That's not a great recipe for like rhythm and like entertainment, which I guess we'll also come to talk about when with the women's final. When you dominate serve and return, and it's just about that, and that's how the match is dictated. And it's also about straightforward baseline power rallies, which we said in the preview that Carlos would have to like avoid being like drawn to that exchange and to that like power struggle. He didn't avoid it at all. He fell right for it, and he was like, I'll try to out hit him from the baseline. I'll see how that goes. Doesn't really work.
I saw a stat or something like that today about how Sinner went to the net 1.8 times as much as Alcaraz, which it's not a measure I would use, but this person has broken it down like that, but almost twice as much.
He went 40 times and Alcaraz went like 33 times.
Okay, yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's a big bonus that you have in that matchup.
It was,
and I think you're...
No, go for it.
No, you say.
Okay. It was about Sinner just controlling many more of the points. It's not like he was like randomly coming to the net and like trying to be Pat Rafter and make like this like super athletic and wild volleys. No, he went to the net because he had a big edge early on in the points, and that was the way to not allow Alcaraz to come back in the point with like crazy defense like on the run or whatever. That's what he did. He was like, okay, I hit like a great shot, Alcaraz is pretty far back, let me come to the net and like knock out like a fairly standard easy volley, and he just did that a bunch.
Which is a note that I need other elite baseliners to fucking take, okay? There's so many good hitters out there who, fine, I understand you can't hit a great volley, but when you've set yourself up with so many good ground strokes and you've pushed someone wide or deep or whatever, it doesn't always have to be an excellent volley. And the ground stroke that you're going to have to hit if you stay back will have to be much better than the volley that you could hit if you approach the net.
Yeah.
Naomi, I would say Amanda, so many players. Samsonova, fucking hell, man. She cannot finish a point.
Yeah.
I mean, she can finish a point, she hits an unforced error. But there's so many times when you just like, go to the net. Okay, now we're talking about women's tennis by accident.
No, it really is a thing. It's I mean, Sinner did work on this. He used to have this problem and be like, just never come to the net at all. But he just figured it out. And I think it's mostly about confidence. But it's never like he hit really simple volleys. Like most kids who are like decent at tennis could hit those volleys. You know, it's
Medvedev's daughter.
Yeah, like put racket out in front, and you know, it's going to be in the open courts. You'll be fine.
I think it's like almost like they're so uncomfortable being at the net.
Yeah.
That it's not about the shot that you have to hit there. It's about the fact that you are there and you're like, you probably feel naked and exposed and stuff like that. They wouldn't know what to do if a shot did come back.
Yeah.
You know, the next shot came back.
That's what it is, you know. And actually, I would commend Sinner for this because early on when she was like not hitting great, she still came to the net. So she was coming in on bad approach shots that were like not hit hard enough, and he would get past a bunch. That would have been, honestly, if it happened to like Zverev or Fritz, they would just stop going to the net at all. Like, oh no, I'm getting passed every time. I can't do it. It's, you know, I can't do this. But he noticed probably that he just had to hit better approach shots with like better power, and that, you know, the volleys would end up being easier, and a bunch of these points would in fact go to him, and they did.
Yeah, and that's one thing I always loved about watching Caroline Garcia and Mukova as well, is the willingness to go to the net. Like, and it doesn't matter if it's the right time, whatever, but they still do it. And I think it makes the tennis entertaining, even if it's not the best way to play. And when it does kind of click, when you are going on the right shots, it looks so simple. It's like, yeah, why doesn't everyone play this way? Like, you hit a big serve, maybe a +1 shot, and then you come and finish it at the net. No one has a chance against that. So I do love those net rushes. Not much else to say on the final, I don't think. Carlos looked overjoyed, completely overjoyed by Jannik's victory. Have you not seen that picture of him smiling?
Yeah, no, I have. It's a whole thing, you know, and he
needs to feed the shippers.
Yeah, I guess he really seemed happy for him, and he keeps, as always, liking his post. Like, Sinner is really happy. That's also one thing. He's also overjoyed for himself. I guess that's also how you can tell that Wimbledon still holds like a really special place in so many players' hearts.
Thank you.
Like, they are so happy. He has posted like 20,000 times on Instagram in the past few days, and he's not a social media guy, you know. So I do think it's sweet, I guess.
Yeah, Marion Bartley every single year posts pictures of her winning, and then pictures of her and Andy Murray at the ball. Yeah. And everyone's like, "Who is this lady? We've never heard of her before." But, you know, I do think you're right, and Krejcikova has the same thing of like, I only really realised like this year when it was coming up to the anniversary time, but she was really gassed about that victory. I think it's just a situation of like, for most players, that was what they dreamed of when they were kids, and it's always about when I was a kid. Yeah, you know, and there's something quite magical about the image you have when you're a child. So I think maybe for the Americans it's a bit different because they'll be aware of, and actually I don't know what the French players, do they dream of Roland Garros? Yeah, honestly, yeah, they do, and they dream so much of it that it actually often takes them out of the tournament. Yeah. So yeah. But I mean, it's because it's been so long. We'll have to ask Mary Pierce, or like look back on her interviews and stuff, whether she was talking about how she dreamed of this. And well, she was half American and didn't actually live in France for much of her life. But yeah. Oh, why would you fake being a French? I don't know. What's the gain? I guess it's. I would need to check on that, but I think it's because it's a smaller federation and stuff, so you maybe get more support than like the Americans who have like dozens of people just as good as Bios, you know. Okay. There's someone who recently was American and became Italian. She's like 17 years old and not relevant, but okay. Yeah, that happened. Because and I think the reason it was notable is because the Italian Federation seemed to be in like a really good place. Yeah. That's also why Rybakina and like Bublik left Russia to play for Kazakhstan, because they would just get more support because there are just not as many players to support. Yeah. Anything else on the final? The royal kids are huge Alcaraz fans. This is all the content you're going to see from after Wimbledon is about how the royal kids were angry at Jannik's win.
Yeah.
And this bloody dance between Iga and Jannik.
So they were more annoyed than Alcaraz was.
Well, yes. I mean, like, literally everyone was.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. Do you think it's good for a rivalry for them to be so pally? Or...
I think it's fine. I think it's cute. It's just, you know, you have the fiddle approach, the blueprint. That's kind of what they had.
But I'm really not convinced about the fiddle thing. I know that, like, you know, Nadal comforted him at Australian Open 2009, and then they held hands at the retirement ceremony and all this stuff. And they did that little funny clip together where Rafa can't speak English or something.
Oh yeah.
You know,
so that was actually really
you're going
funny.
to come and play in my exhibition.
Yeah.
But I do think that actually the competitive, like, bitterness was there, and maybe this is. I'm a little bit like, I mean, they say this in the Alcaraz documentary, right? Is he just a tiny bit too nice and soft to be as, like, relentless and ruthless as you have to be to win 25 slams?
I don't know. I do think it's a decent comparison because it's you know, it's like pally at the trophy ceremony, and sometimes when they like cross each other at like practice, it's not they're
not straight up friends. It's not like Badosa and Sabalenka going shopping together.
They're not BFFs. You know, it's just this guy who I've played great matches with. Who is nice to me, I'm nice to him, we say nice words to each other in trophy ceremonies. That's it. I do think actually they might actually be closer if they weren't as like good and as like such close competitors, is what it is.
Yeah. I think it just, for me, it just come across a bit like Gen Z-y and like woke. Like Carlos is so Gen Z.
Yeah.
Like him being happy for his rivals and like... Yeah. They're always trying to kiss.
I really do think it's basically Fiddle like 20 years later.
Yeah. And of course, like, if it were such an issue, he would stop breaking his heart and winning from match point down. So,
yes. Yeah. You know, if he didn't have some sort of like killer competitor thing going for him, he would have lost that match a month ago. So...
But I also do, like, okay, last thing I'll say on this, I do genuinely believe that Venus was affected by the fact that she was an older sister to Serena. Like, I think there's an acknowledgement that just she wanted it 0.01% less, and that actually she is very happy for... Of course, this is a different thing because they're siblings, but I don't think it's always absent. Yeah,
and honestly, apparently, it's like... Their father also like kind of set them up for that. When like he basically his read on it was that Serena just had more hunger to her. That's what it was. She was more eager to do all those things and be the best and be unbeatable. Venus, I guess, in that match specifically was probably a bit soft, and that's maybe also why they didn't play many great matches. So we're never in like each other's face. You know, for like people who are as good and who played as many high stakes match, there are like a few great matches, but like not that many.
There's a very funny clip of after Serena beats her in the Roland Garros final in 2002, which was the first of 5 in a row slam finals they played. No, not the first, sorry. No, maybe it was the first.
I think it was the first.
Yeah. Venus immediately goes and runs and gets a camera and joins the photographers and starts taking pictures of Serena. And you're like, you know...
That's sweet.
It's nice, but you're probably not going to, like, fight to the death for this match.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. On to the women, I guess. The women's final. Or more on the... We'll talk about the women's final, then we talk about the tournaments as a whole.
Okay,
maybe.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was certainly a match, and it feels so like it feels kind of stupid to put it that way, and like, oh, I knew all along. Literally, they played that first point and were like, ooh, that's going to be tough for Anisimova.
I tweeted because I think it was a backhand into the net, and I was like, if you are missing backhands and if you're missing them into the net, the tightness is there.
And you know what? I actually felt it even before she hit her serve. It was the first serve, and it was slow. And I was like, ooh, that's not a good sign at all.
Yeah. So I heard people talking about this match on the Out and About as well, about you know, oh, what a demolition, this kind of stuff. And it was indeed a demolition. Anisimova losing 6-love to Iga. It's the first double bagel slam final since Graf Zvereva at Roland Garros in, was it 1987?
I think it's 88.
88. Oh, so it is the Golden Slam year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's been a long time. It's the first time it's happened at Wimbledon in the Open era. Not Anisimova's best match, but you know, we did talk about this kind of possibility before. Maybe not expecting the scoreline to be quite so drastic, but it's a matchup where if Iga kind of senses the tension, like if another player comes into it tense and nervous, there's no breathing room. There's no her getting a little bit, like her lowering her level as well. I mean, not intentionally, but sometimes players slip. And I think actually I was talking about this with one of our good friends on Twitter a while ago about why Iga's seems to be focused not on how the match went with respect to her opponent, but how the match went with respect to herself. She is, at least seems to be, like quite a perfectionist. Her excellence is measured by how close she got to what she wants for herself, rather than like, oh yeah, I was way better than you on that day, or oh yeah, I did what was needed to be done to win the match. Which is why she'd be, you know, 5-love, 3-1 up. 6-love, 3-1 up, and will still not. She doesn't take her foot off the gas at all, because it's all about how well I can like execute and perform this thing as if there were no opponents even there. That's how I kind of see it. And this is why I think you often get these outcomes. She's obviously got like an insane tennis ability, but is always about like making sure I tick all of my boxes, regardless of what the opponent's doing and regardless of if I am completely demolishing them.
Yeah. It's really a pattern, you know, like this Graf thing record. If anyone was going to break it, it was going to be her.
But we'd probably expect it to be at Roland Garros.
Yeah, I guess that's the interesting part, I guess. It's just so many of these matches start that way. I think that's out of 6-time finals, she started being up 3-love in 5 of them. The exception was actually Paolini, but Paolini was like up to 1 and then lost like 10 games. So
she broke, right? Or
yeah, she broke. She was up a break and then barely won another game. It's just something about her approach to these matches, and also that's, I guess, where we can talk about the whole like draw and her finals record. It's basically always a first-time slam finalist. The exceptions being Kenin and Ons in the US Open.
And Ons plays every final like it's
her first. Yeah.
Live every day like it's your last. Play every slam final like it's your first.
Well, yeah, it could be a positive thing, you know. It's like, oh, it's the excitement of it all. Well, she takes the nerves and only the nerves. But yeah, she always does this. And once again, that's when we can talk about best of 3 in these matches. You just know when Anisimova went down like love 4 or like love 5, probably her dialogue was in her mind was like, don't get double bageled. I think it literally enters your mind. It's like, oh no, this is happening to me. I have to do something to stop it. And I don't think it's like especially productive, you know. Ideally, I would suspect the best approach would be to be like, okay, how do I play better? Or how do I try to do this and focus on something more specific than don't get double bageled? Because when it's happening to you, it is pretty hard to stop.
Mm-hmm. Also, I think in the best of 5, your thinking is more, okay, how do I win a game and just steady the ship so that I can get into this match and get back into this match? With the best of 3, I think it's more like, how do I win a game just so I don't embarrass myself? You know, the match is gone.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, it's not a question of getting back into it, it's that the match is gone. And I think this is one thing, I think Mukova did it really well. She genuinely believed that she still had a chance in that match. I don't know where this belief came from, but she believed she had a chance in this match. So it wasn't about, because she also started quite slowly. She came back in the first set even. It was about, how do I get myself into this match rather than how do I avoid embarrassment, which is, like you said, not a productive way to think. And you can compare players with the right mindset of believing that they can win. Look at how Iga played the Rybakina match at Roland Garros. It was just like, it was looking like it could be embarrassing, right? Very embarrassing, especially considering her status. But because of the amount of confidence she has on that surface in that tournament, she wasn't thinking like that. She wasn't going, how do I avoid embarrassment? She was going, how do I get myself back into this match? And I think if players could force themselves to think that way, then it would look a lot less ugly a lot of the time. The problem is, like, one way that allows them to think that way and believe that they still have time is by giving them more time, by giving them more sets to play. And it was really one of the big takeaways of that match for me, was that, God, you just wish this isn't the best of three. Because another thing I thought about was, what are the most nervy moments of a slam final, or maybe any final, maybe any match? Is the beginning and the end. The first set and the last set. Those are the times when you feel like so much, can be affected. The shape of the match. It's the points where you feel it the most, you feel heavy. When you come in and you start and they're doing the warm-up thing, you can feel the nerves. Towards the end of a match, you can feel the nerves. And in a best of three, you can just have a set that's the beginning and then a set that's the end. So you're feeling the nerves from like both sides, and there's no middle ground. That even if that were a straight sets best of five match, which is extremely likely, I think this middle set is the one where you can feel a little bit more like, swing freely, do what you want. This set kind of, barely means anything, because it won't exactly decide the result of the match, as in, this isn't my last chance to show myself, but it isn't the first one either. It just gives you so much more, and more than people think it does. You know? Everyone's saying Anisimova, she was already tired before this match, and she Iga's way better than her, she's never going to win. It's not about that. It's just by giving you some time.
Yeah, and actually it is interesting. Anisimova mentioned like the physical fatigue, which I'm sure it's a thing. She didn't just make it up. This match was about her nerves, mostly. Like, it's not ideal to come in and feel like you're already fatigued or something, but like adrenaline is a thing. It can carry you actually through those matches. It's not like the top players or whoever are always feeling at like their peak fitness, or like they don't feel fatigue. It's about trying to find a way and get yourself into a match, and even especially on grass, it's like, well, maybe I'm a bit fatigued, but like I can find a few first serve and I'll hit like a ground stroke winner. It's like, and suddenly I feel a bit better. I feel like I can do this. It never happened. It never came together for her. Honestly, I do think she was basically proven from point one, from the very first shot she hit, and she never really recovered. And it is a pretty tough scene in many ways. On the like Iga side of things, she played a good match. She played exactly actually the match that she was supposed to play. It's the deal. I do think she would have had to play better tennis and be like more committed, more aggressive. But I think it's funny because I don't think of her as like a very savvy or like tactically aware player a lot of the times. But somehow in that type of match, I think she can just sense this is what she's doing, this is what's happening, and she basically focused on making a bunch of good serves and making a bunch of returns, and mostly from there, letting Anisimova do the work, make the ball back always, make her hit out of position. That was always going to be a big part of her tactics into going into that match, but even more so when she's never making that ball on the run, like never. She's always going to like go for way too much and just miss. She, like on the forehand down the line, and Anisimova kept trying and trying. It never ended. Like not even once, I don't think.
That's also actually one thing that I think players with good movement, they have a bit of an advantage, because I often think that when you're on the run, the tightness that you can get from nerves is like it doesn't even come into play anymore, because it just it no longer has control of your body. Your body's being controlled by the momentum and the speed. You know, you're moving about and you literally are freer. Players like Paolini and Coco, they have this option to, well, it's not necessarily an option, but if they want to go into a bit more of a defensive mode, start running back and forth and just kind of scrapping, that's something they can do. For Anisimova, making her run is not going to make the shots any better, no matter how tight she is when she's in position. And I tweeted it during the match, like her feet looked even heavier than they usually do. Like it felt like it took the earth for her to just lift up a foot.
Yeah. It is just one of those. I kind of wish somehow Higa just was able to like summon the level she showed against Bencic, because at least they would have been more entertaining. She would just have been hitting winners left, right, and center. But the thing is, Bencic was playing better than Anisimova, like quite a lot better, even though the scorelines are only like two games difference. Bencic was playing decent tennis in that match. She was, whenever there were a few opportunities, she took them. You know, she hit quite a few winners. She took control of the points when she could. And Anisimova could never really do that in like a consistent way at all. So Iga just never felt compelled to change anything about the way she was playing, because she just knew there's nothing that's going to happen, and I can just remove any sort of like risk, and just not going to miss at all. Just going to completely control the serve return dynamics, which would have been, a big part of the matchup and a bit of the way she would have wanted to approach it. But even more so in the context of that match, that's all she had to do, really.
And that's, I think, one point that made me sad, and I'm sure kind of frustrates Anisimova as well. It's not really, I lost this match and I lost it really, really one-sidedly, although I'm sure she probably feels that and will remember that forever. It's the feeling of like, this is the biggest opportunity of my life to show what I've been working for my whole life, which is to play good tennis. And she wasn't even able to show that. Like, if she'd lost 6-love, playing a level that she like is a good level, which I think is like possible, not likely, but Iga can do that to players who are playing well, like you said with Bencic. I mean, it wasn't 6-love, but it could still be a really, really one-sided match that right from the beginning pretty much who's going to win it. If Anisimova felt like she'd showed close to her best, then you can say, you know what, there's nothing more I could do. I was just beaten by someone who's way better than me. I think that's what's got to be frustrating for her, is like knowing that she didn't leave it all out there. Cyclists like to say leave it all out there. She didn't get to leave it all out there. No. And she was very far from what she can do. And that makes me hope that she gets another chance at it, because hopefully in the second time round it's better. The same way that her second slam semi-final was a lot better.
That's true. And
her second 1000 final as well, right? Her first one was in Canada, one of them.
Toronto last year.
And she was shocking.
She wasn't great.
She was tired.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was gassed, and Pegula just kind of took her apart. That's a good point, actually. Yeah, she does tend to do better the second time around. And honestly, there is genuinely not a worst opponent to face in your first time final. It is horrendous. It is truly, awful. I think Goff still talks about it. The way she felt after that first RG final. That's just not who you want. Really, it's the opposite. You would want literally anyone else. Maybe in history. It's really rough.
Yeah, and again, because like other players are just slightly less like relentless. The way that they play is in response to what's coming at them. Most of them, they'll still beat you.
Yeah,
Sabalenka would still beat a lot of players, but it's just not going to look the same way.
she'll have her own moment when she gets a bit tired, a bit nervous, and you're like, oh, maybe I can get in this. That moment just does not exist when it's Iga in that scenario.
It makes you think, Karolina Muchova is just one of the best players ever.
Let's close the episode on this. You can't find a better conclusion.
Well, imagine if she held. Yeah. One of Muchova and Naomi could have just held. That's all we had to do. Actually, Naomi only needed 1 point. It's just shocking. Great players. This might be for both of them their best achievements.
Well, yeah.
Probably not for Naomi.
Yeah, no, probably not. No. But yeah, and I guess it isn't. This match, this whole thing, Iga winning it, leaves us in a very interesting place, because I guess now it's like, okay, she's had. I do think it is important to note that even though when the match happens and it unfolds the way it does, it's like, oh, of course. Classic.
We knew that was going to happen.
Classic Iga Swiatek, that's what she does. Slam finals, never lost one. Always puts up like really dominant scorelines. Bound to happen, sure, whatever. But also, actually, that followed 13 really bad months in so many ways, with like tons of heartbreaks on court, a pretty massive one off court as well with that whole doping saga thing. But. And also and then came a bunch of bad losses at the end of tournaments. Usually not in finals, because she would start playing bad the round before. Just so many heartbreaks and so many no-show performances. But now it's like, okay, is she back to her best? What do we expect now? Is this year? Is she just going to take over for the rest of the year? And I don't have an answer for that, honestly. I think we have probably a bit of a better picture when we see actually how she plays in Canada, I guess, probably. But yeah, it's very interesting to think about. It's not like she was gone, it's a whole thing. You can't say, oh, she was just not a factor in tournaments. She was still making it pretty deep. She entered the tournament, she was like third in the race or something. So not that bad, but just not
bad at all.
Yeah, just not the player you had seen in the past 3 years, So yeah, it just leaves a lot of, I guess, questions, and it feels like a big shift in what we can expect, I guess, from the rest of the season.
What's so interesting? You mentioned it. The Olympics loss was a semi-final, right?
It was.
So you then have 13 months of the semi-final being the place where you start losing it. It's like Sakari. Semi-final loss at Roland Garros. And then from then on, it's the semi-finals in her head. This is what I was saying before was it the last episode? Semi-finals are bigger than finals. I mean, maybe Anisimova would say otherwise. Yeah. But they are, there's something about them. I find them to be really tense. But yeah, that's that full circle thing. She's really shocking. I mean, imagine if you said to someone 3 weeks ago, Iga's going to win Freudian slip. Iga's going to win Wimbledon with a double bagel in the final. You'd be like, okay, all right, we get it.
Yeah, it's like someone's fantasy, It doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Sarah has said it before.
It doesn't sound like a plausible scenario, and I actually think it's funny. I told you earlier in the tournament, like I low-key tend to like daydream about like results and like my face winning titles. It's something I do. I couldn't imagine it in my mind. I came up empty. It's like, okay, let's imagine she's winning Wimbledon. I couldn't like picture it in my head at all. That's how extraordinary really it is that it happened. And obviously now we can like look at the game and like, oh, she's doing this better and she's doing that better. Actually, yeah. Do you think that's an interesting thing to mention? The whole like, oh yeah, she couldn't figure out grass and now somehow she's won the title.
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, I think this is another, like, there's so many elements to this run that is, I think other people have mentioned it's only like her first Roland Garros title where it's like I think you said it's the start of something rather than the continuation of something. Like out of the blue, what are the possibilities now? Like, what does the future look like? Rather than everything else was quite knowing, it's like, okay, fine, oh yeah, nice. It's a good result, but it's like an exclamation point rather than opening a new door. Really so shocking, because it wasn't just like, oh yeah, she made her way through the draw and like lots of other people fell early and she managed to kind of squirm her way to the title. It was like, yeah, this is a player who's great on grass. They've got a great grass game. I thought, at least. And I said it for years. I envisaged this happening. I think the return is such a benefit, and she's got one of the best, probably the best I've ever seen from the women. And I think that could really carry her quite far as soon as she starts believing it, and as soon as she starts being told from everyone that she's shit on this surface, and also as soon as she stops trying to slide, which I do think is I know people were teasing Chris Evert for saying it. I think she used to struggle to move without sliding, and on grass it was difficult for her to slide, because I think learning to slide on grass is different than learning to slide. If she can move okay, everything else is fine for it. And of course she's beefed up her serve.
That's also a big thing. And as for the return, it's been a bit up and down. It obviously was maybe the best shot in the sport a few years back, and it sometimes actually turned out to be a fairly significant weakness in some matches when she would just misreturn one after the other in like really competitive matches, and it's like, oh, she's actually losing because of it now, and she literally took a step back. And I think it's literally something. So that's also why I was a bit hesitant to say, oh, he's doing a shit job, because I felt like he had the right idea, but she was the one who didn't want to do it.
How did you know this is about win for set?
Yeah,
right?
It is.
How did you know that he was telling her that?
Because he mentioned it early. They started collaborating, and he's asked questions like, okay, so what do you see? What do you think you could change, and what do you think could make her a better player? And I think he mentioned it. He's like, oh yeah, sometimes she's standing too close to the baseline to return, and opponents can like take advantage of it. So it's like, okay, he sees what I'm saying and what some fans have been seeing for years. But you would watch Iga, and it's like the same thing, not moving once and back. Actually, it was to me it looked a bit silly as well. It's like literally standing on the exact same spot, returning first and second serve. That's not the same thing. That's not the same shot, especially when it's like a fairly big server. Like, you can't return Rybakina's first and second serve the same way. It's not the same shot. That doesn't make sense. But I think it's about, okay, I've struggled so much on that base surface, actually. Now, maybe I'll, it's probably about, okay, I've kind of lost a lot. So maybe she was just more inclined to be like, okay, just I'll listen, I'll do what you tell me to, and we'll see what happens. And so she is.
Yeah, and I always think that so many athletes are so stubborn, and that the best thing for them is to let them do what comes naturally to them. So it makes sense that it takes more than just a coach coming in and saying, "Oh, step back," for her to go, maybe I will. Like, it's not like someone's going to come in and say, step back, trust me, it will work, and she'll do it, and she'll feel comfortable doing it. She needs to kind of... they kind of have to figure it out themselves.
Yeah.
And she basically figured it out herself by finding a lot less success than she was used to. And wasn't it really in that second set against Rybakina?
Literally, yes.
Roland Garros?
Yeah.
She took the step back, and she found out for herself. She fucked around and found out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to be like, oh yeah, I get it now, rather than someone telling you.
Yeah, I've also seen quite a lot of like bad and a bit honestly lazy analysis, being like, oh, she figured out the grass because she just realized that she had to be aggressive.
Not a problem I find with Iga.
No, it's like literally, you would say that if you hadn't watched her play since like 2021. That was the whole thing about the 2022 picker. Suddenly she was a lot more aggressive, and it ended up being a bit of an issue in some matches when she would be so aggressive that she just hit herself out of matches. She's doing that less now. She's found a better balance between, okay, I need to defend more, I need to, just play with more control and not go for as much as often, and still find a way to, take control of a lot of points. And that's what she's done.
Yeah. I also, again, I do really believe that she was basically given a fair chance this tournament by not winning a million matches on the clay, and particularly not winning Roland Garros. Mm-hmm. She was just given a little bit of time to get some practice in before playing a warm-up tournament, seeing the warm-up tournament through, not pulling out like she did in Bad Homburg a few years ago.
Yeah.
Seeing it all the way to the final and then going to Wimbledon. Like, that is just her having the space. And again, like, the fact that there was just no pressure on her whatsoever.
It's so big. It's so interesting to me. It's this... It's honestly, it doesn't even feel like it makes sense for someone who has achieved so much and who has done so well in all these big matches, just for her to for once feel like, okay, no one's really looking at me that much. I heard that there weren't many people in her initial press conference. She just wasn't a big favorite, and she actually was put on court 2 first time. I don't think she even knew what that looked like, It's
she should ask Rebecca now.
Yes, it was just this whole thing, and somehow that just helped a lot as well, I think. And it's also a question mark moving forward. This is probably the least amount of pressure she'll feel entering a Grand Slam for the rest of her career, because now it's okay, if she can do that on the surface where everyone had written her off, you should just never write her off ever again. So I wonder how that will impact her, I guess.
I do think it's pretty much changed everything. This is why it felt like such a big moment, and quite uncanny seeing her fall to the floor on grass wearing white and then lift that trophy. It's okay, fucking anything is possible now, because first of all, raising your level for a slam, that's pretty new. She's very much not a slam merchant. She was a consistency merchant who was generally underachieving at the slams. But I think I said it in the preview, I think that loss in the Pegula, in the final against Pegula at Bad Homburg, was not a terrible thing. I think that was her being fine, I feel good enough, I can't really be fucked to give my all to win this match, I'm ready for Wimbledon. I think that there are so many things, so many doors that have been opened here, and she's very much the best player who's won Wimbledon, or even come close, made the final. Her rivals, Rebecca are fine, okay, but Coco and Sabalenka, who they played in the Roland Garros final, and there was starting to be some talk. They were 1 and 2 in the race. They were 1 and 2 in the rankings. Were they 1 and 2 in the race?
I think so.
Yeah. There started to be some talk, and in people's minds, they were also better all-court players. This has just completely thrown that out, and it again, I think, put some... It seems crazy to put so much weight on one tournament and one result, but it's put that distance between her and her rivals again that hasn't been there since 2020, the start of 2023 or something like that. Yeah, end of 2022, but before, Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so in early 2023, Sabalenka won her first slam, and then she became an actual rival. It is just so interesting. It's this... There was this ceiling on her career. It's okay, she's she can play good tennis everywhere, but still, it's about clay. It's about the slower hard courts. She won that US Open, but that was kind of weird and a bit fluky, I would say. But now it's okay, so if she can play this well on the surface, there are in theory no limits to what she can do.
And without the confidence or anything like that, we usually think about her needing to kind of...
Yeah, momentum,
Yeah, momentum, and really believe in herself. That's one reason she can do so well on clay, and those 1,000 tournaments where she feels comfortable. I think it felt that there's levels to this game. That meme, right?
Yeah.
It feels like that with her career. All the others around her for now would look at that and be right, yeah, she is still on another level. And you saw a lot of that, again, on Twitter. People who aren't fans of her were like, right, fair. This is the best player of this generation. Until further notice, she's a different level to even Sabalenka, who they've got the same number of Slam finals. But one has 6 and one has 3. And
that is true. Although that final did end up make me think of they should play in finals, you know.
Yeah, well, have you ever not been thinking that?
That's true, but it's just about no other player can make finals where Iga is involved. That great, you know.
Excuse me.
Mukova, okay, sure.
And Krejcikova. Put some respect on her name.
That's true. That was in Ostrava. Okay, sure. That's true. Okay, fair. They're on that level.
Don't bring out the cold in Dubai. I'm sorry. It's 3 years on. You're not going to be using that excuse.
Yeah, but that's just not a good match. Is my point.
Right, but she won.
Yeah.
So like, if you've got one tight match plus one win.
Okay, sure. Fair enough. But right now, you know, among the top players who are not injured,
likely to get there,
who are not injured all the time, and Sabalenka is especially likely to get there because she always goes deep, very deep at slams. It should happen. It should have happened already, you know. And it's also why I'm not that. It's like the slam record is impressive, you know. It's a nice stat to have. I think she's 1 away from Federer, and I think she has matched or like overtaken Celeste for. Most.
Bearing in mind that Federer also played with players who had 2 jobs, and Monica Seles was playing with Steffi Graf and Navratilova and Sanchez Vicario.
She did lose that first one to Graf, I think. So it's that, and that's just why I don't.
And she was 8 years old.
Yeah, also. That's why it's a nice stat to have. It's cool, you know. It's impressive. But you don't find, like, no all-time greats actually ends up with that type of record because they just end up playing also super great players who can end up beating them in some of these. That's normal. That should happen. You know, to me, it's like, it's also kind of a reminder that she did actually underachieve at quite a few slams where she probably should have met Sabalenka and maybe lost a few of those. And even just beyond that, it's a match we deserve. That like, can you imagine if that Madrid final was a slam final? It kind of changes everything, you know. It's what we need. It's what we deserve.
We.
Yeah.
You.
We the people. Yeah. No, not just me. Even people who say, oh no, I don't want it. I don't care. You know, I don't like when they play. I don't care. It's what we deserve as women's tennis fans.
Yeah, and it's true. Like, we'll talk about this a bit later, but if you care about women's tennis and its image, you want the best players who can play high-level competitive tennis in finals to play on the biggest stage, so in a slam final. So I do want to see it, and it's nice that you're honest about this record because I know a lot of Iga fans are kind of like super high on it. Look, how amazing is it? 6-0 in slam finals, but really what you want is her to be consistently playing her rivals who are fellow all-time greats, rather than, like, you know, having, no disrespect, Jasmine Paolini, and she's kind of the only player I think is not great there. But, you know, you want there to have those epic matches and be like, yeah, remember when, you know, Carlos's fucking Roland Garros victory, that is better than the beatdown of Djokovic on Wimbledon, like, obviously, and that does more for his career and more for the way, if you care about this, more for how people think about him and view him and his greatness than any beatdown does, any 6-love would. So yeah, if you care about Iga's position, you would want a competitive slam final against a great player. If you care about women's tennis and the way people view it, some people will never win over, but some people we could. And yeah, we want to see matches like in Madrid, or yeah. Although I do think that Roland Garros final was very good. The unfortunate point was that the women's Mukova won.
Yeah.
The unfortunate point was that you've got one player who's got like 18 Roland Garros titles and one player who's only ever got one title. So you feel quite sure about what the result's going to be, even if it's high quality and competitive. And I felt sure throughout. With Sabalenka, it's not the case.
Yeah, no. You just know something can happen here. And they can really bring something amazing out of each other, which is what you would want to see.
Maybe USO. I'd like to see it. Actually, would I? You know what I want? I want Iga against Peak Bianca.
That would be so random. That's so funny.
Yeah, but she doesn't. Yeah. I don't know. I still believe she's there somewhere. You know who lost in Wimbledon qualifying last year?
Anisimova.
And you know who did it this year?
Andrescu.
And who both players whose best seasons before were 2019. Teenagers in 2019. They're both the kind of girls who would use TikTok.
Predicting next year's Wimbledon finalists is quite something.
But yeah, Andrescu's going to get there and lose 6-love, 6-love.
Wow. Was that? Yeah. Okay.
I will say, last note on the finals. We did pretty well in the predictions because we both picked Anisimova to make the final. And I was just looking at my power rankings. I had Iga at 5th, Anisimova at 6th. Obviously, Alcaraz and Sinner 1 and 2. Like, not bad.
Yeah.
Maybe we know ball.
Yeah. I had all 4 semi-finalists at the men, but actually it was just very easy. Is my thing,
Yeah.
The Anisimova pick, I do think we can be proud of, even though actually
that's crazy because
a bunch of people called it as well. So
did they?
Yeah, like on Twitter, I also saw a bunch of Anisimova like finalists or even sometimes winner predictions.
That's a segment that we mentioned having was generally predictions and for what do you call it? Foreboding. So like Petkovic.
Oh yeah, it's true. The omens, so Petkovic, she was in Bad Hamburg, and I think she had some type of role for like the tournament.
Yeah, she's doing on-court interviews now.
Yeah, I think probably. And she was watching Iga, of course, who made the final, and she saw, I think it was a falcon, like flying.
She doesn't know herself. She said in the Substack that it's some kind of bird, and I'm not into that.
Yeah, so she saw a bird like flying over Iga said, and in her mind she was like, that means she's winning Wimbledon, which is, I don't know how her mind went there. Maybe she like believes in that type of sign, omen, whatever you want to call it. But also the crazier, bigger, wilder prediction is from user Venus Goff on Twitter.
Shocking. This is fucking shocking.
It's ridiculous. It's if more people cared about like tennis predictions, this would be like all over the news or something. It's insane. So,
yeah, it's like those bloody octopuses they used to get out to decide the results of World Cup matches. But actually, it's more impressive.
Yeah, it's so insane. So, do you want to tell the story?
Yeah, so last year, before the draw was even made, it was some random time in June, whatever, this Twitter user, Venus Goff, tweeted that whoever draws Veronika Kudermetova in round 1 of Wimbledon is going to win. And, like, just a nonsense tweet. It's just a nonsense tweet, right? Like
that's before the draw, so it's not... The prediction isn't Krejcikova is going to win Wimbledon. No, it's whoever... So that could be basically anyone who draws Kudermetova in the first round is winning Wimbledon.
It's also, like, it's quite bold because Kudermetova's not a terrible player.
Yeah, no.
So you could lose that match.
And she's decent on grass as well. So in theory, on paper, she would beat most of the field in that first round.
Right. So then Krejcikova draws Kudermetova, and even then, looking at the prediction, you're like, still pretty out there.
And she
like,
barely beat her, actually.
Yeah, she did. She played 3 sets. I think it was 7-5 or 7-6 in the third. And then, as we know, Krejcikova goes and wins the title. And this user is bragging about how this is an insane prediction. And everyone else is like, yes, that's a stupidly good prediction. This year, in sometime, again, before the draw, the same user tweeted, with the same GIF as well, I'm calling it now. Whoever draws Polina Kudermetova in Wimbledon is going to wins Wimbledon. And like, okay, this is a joke, right? Because it's her sister. It's Kudermetova's
like, aha.
Veronica's sister. It's like, oh, we get it. Yeah.
That's very funny.
Good
Yeah.
bit. Funny. And then when the draw was made, Iga drew her. And I actually said in our preview pod, I felt quite confident that Iga wasn't going to win Wimbledon precisely because it would be ridiculous for this to be true 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Anyway, we roll on and we get to the final and Iga wins. And no offence to her, this prediction, the back-to-back predictions, more impressive than the Wimbledon title.
It's certainly more random, it's more, it's less likely for sure. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, so shocking. And I think people will. It's hard to even know the law because you might see the tweet on its own without seeing the one last year, but we lived it,
Yeah.
all of it. Incredible. So shout out to both of them for
incredible achievements,
And actually, there were, kind of anyone and everyone was just randomly saying Iga would win Wimbledon this year, including Vic. So, maybe Petkovic not that smart. Anything else on the women's final, the overall results? I guess we can, if not, we can talk a little bit about the general vibe of the tournament. So some people that you thought were worth talking about? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, on the women's side, we didn't mention her at all, which we usually tend to do because we both like her. Naomi Osaka is just, it happened again. It actually is getting kind of absurd. Every single time, plays pretty well against another decent to good player, and loses in the first set, and quite late in the third set as well. And it's just, I don't know what do we make of that. I guess you have to hope that she isn't too defeated about it. Honestly, she seems to be defeated. I would be too. How? It just keeps happening. Yeah, it's strange. I do think it might be a thing that happens because, as we all know, I don't want to talk about her again, considering she's kind of not played at all. But Bianca's 2019 season was characterized by these third set, grit it out victories. Really tight. She was so clutch, and she was so. Lots of people called her a scammer, probably deserved. And then it flipped. She came back after a break, and she started being the one who's losing these 3-set matches, without question. And I wonder, Naomi was in a similar position. She used to be, one of her big qualities used to be how excellent she was in tight moments. She had this super reliable serve that when she summoned it would hit. She just was really excellent on the clutch points and wouldn't crumble. And now again, it's just completely flipped. She's just routinely losing these third sets. She's, I don't know, who's a player who always loses third sets?
Honestly, to this extent, I don't know. No one.
There are some. I'll think about it, but there are some. But yeah, she played the third round against Pavlyuchenkova.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, third round against Pavlyuchenkova. Playing pretty well up in the first set. I think she was up in the second, but she should have closed it out in 2. Mm-hmm. But then, as soon as it got to the tail end of the third, same story. Happened against Samsonova in Berlin and Badosa in Roland Garros.
Yes.
Peyton Stearns in Rome. Another great player.
Consecutive every tournament now. How?
And she's not losing really any straight sets matches.
No.
Did she lose to Navarro in straights?
She did, yeah.
Okay.
Great player as well, of course.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, something to think about, whether that's, she did kind of threaten at the beginning of this year that if the results weren't coming, she might just call it a day. We are running out of time. But you don't believe it?
I think when you can still feel like you're playing well, I think it's hard to stop. I actually think it's kind of the same with Djokovic. Well, obviously not to the same extent because he's still doing great.
It's the first time they'll ever be compared.
But even though you might think, oh yeah, it's just way too hard for him to break through and beat both Sinner and Alcaraz, when you feel like you can still play this well and basically be like the third best player in the world. That's not the case with Naomi, of course, but when you feel like that level is still right there and you just need something more, just something to go your way, some type of breakthrough in or something, I think it's hard to stop.
Yeah, I agree with that, and that's true, because I guess you'd only need, if there is something that's currently not clicking for Naomi, if that were to click,
she just needs one, just the one.
And it's really annoying because like it feels so close. I don't know, this sport is hard because you feel so close and you just have, it's just give me one little thing that I need. There's one little part that I need to work, and then I'm gonna win the US Open. Like, yeah. Anyway, that's the Naomi update. Who else is a kind of relevant player who deserves an update?
I'm pretty interested in Andreeva because
I'm pissed off at her.
Yeah, early on we
did the same thing again of being like, she's not losing this match.
Yeah, we had like low expectations coming in because she had been struggling a bit in the grass season, so you didn't like feel strongly about her, even though earlier on we kept saying she would win Wimbledon. Well, but suddenly there she was in the quarterfinals, having played I think a great match against Navarro. It was like
super one-sided, and
and
without like joking, Navarro is good on grass.
Yeah, she is.
She's rich.
So it's just that's pretty exciting. So, and of course we just knew she had so many tools that could take her quite far on the surface, and she gets to the Bencic match, and it's not a terrible performance, losing 6-7, 6-7, but like I don't think she fully did herself justice there, and I guess that's the second quarterfinal in a row that looked and seemed quite winnable, and where she just didn't get over the line.
Yeah, and like this stage of your career and that stage of Bencic's career, she's not a renowned slam player. No. You don't want to be losing that match. I didn't watch much of it, but I did watch some, and it just looked like to me like Andreeva was just like tapping the ball, and like I think during her runs, or her successful runs earlier this year, she had quite a bit of power. And it's like one thing people remarked on is that since we first met her as a young teenager, she's already put on loads of power that was still mostly there on the serve, but I think it's like her natural inclination to kind of keep it safe, and it really didn't work in that situation. And super tight match, but she just needed to play her game better. Like that was and I don't know why she wasn't playing her game better.
Yeah, you can still honestly put quite a lot of it down to lack of experience in those matches, but it is probably a decent sign that she can come in like shaky form and still be right there in a slam quarterfinal, being actually decently close to win. So still loads of time, and should be fine.
I would also think maybe there's like an element of fear there as well. I find her like mentally really difficult to figure out, because sometimes I think like, wow, she is a mental giant. Like how incredible it is to come back from a set down against Sabalenka. She did that right at Indian Wells. Yeah, and all this kind of stuff, especially when you've had that head to head. And then there are some moments where I'm like, okay, yeah, fine. You are actually still young, like the Boisson match. This felt another one like that, where it's like, I think that you have the blueprint to be someone who gets through this match, but you're still just a bit too young. And like, I would look to Alcaraz's match against Hugo Gaston in Paris-Bercy as a like youngster being overwhelmed by a moment that you expect him to grow out of. From what you've seen of him, you think that he will grow out of that, and I would think Andreeva would grow out of whatever this was, which Another note on her though, did you see the sign and the hat that she made to support Conchita?
Very, very cute.
Amazingly cute. So one of the best things. It's their coaching relationship is so lovely, or their friendship, partnership is so lovely, and it's very like she earnestly, seriously supporting her and likes her. It's just, if anyone hasn't seen it, you go look at it.
Obviously we kind talked about her a bit in like the final preview and even a bit here. Sabalenka, it's such a strange place to be in, to be far and away.
She's always in a strange place.
It's such a rocky, strange career she has, and it just keeps happening. But yeah, no, she's far and away still the number one player in the world, still number one in both rankings, in rankings by like a super like huge distance, and in the race by not that much anymore. But yeah, and still no slam, and she has lost 3 setters at every single slam this year so far, and in either finals or semis.
Well, she's lost. All her matches that she's lost have been 3 sets since 2020 in slams.
That's your sense. That's true. And I don't know. It's I'm at a stage, especially I think it all still comes down to the RG final and the comments afterwards and the whole controversy. It still hasn't gone away. I didn't think we would still be here now, but it seems like we still are. She mentioned it so many times in her Wimbledon.
Did she?
Yeah, she's afraid. She's literally afraid of people getting on her case in that way, and being just having that many people calling her out, or like being sometimes much worse than that, like bullying her basically. It's just not something you want to see. It felt like she tried to mince her words a bit, which you probably don't want either way to do what she did in that RG press conference, but I don't know. I just wish people would move on, honestly. And it's clear she still thinks about it, and she's still worried about, and it's not over. And that's what I found a bit sickening as well. The fact that she tried her best to mince her words and not say anything controversial, just do her press and move on, and it's fine. And still, some like journalists and some tabloid journalists mostly found a way to make it controversial and to just start over again that controversy and have people call her out. Oh, she's a sore loser. Oh, she's this nasty person. It's way too much, way too much, and I do feel quite bad.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are just a lost cause. Like she filmed all those videos with Coco, and everyone was like, oh, we're buddy, it's fine. We're not like holding a grudge. And she tried to be sufficiently respectful and apologized as well. She'd apologized on Instagram.
Yeah, and she did it in a much better way later on as well. She had like a better apology.
But people just don't care. Like it doesn't matter. Like there's just nothing that she could do that would win people over, or at least like get them to stop hating her. I think what you could hope is that everyone just gets bored and moves on at some point, and then there's like fewer constant reminders of it. The same way that I think like Naomi was like bizarrely kind of bullied for all the mental health stuff and the Roland Garros press conference thing when it was 2021 and that was a thing for a while. Like every time she was on court or doing anything, people would bring this up, and then they just kind of got over it. Hopefully it happens the same way, but it is a shame because like this is just my personal opinion. Obviously what she said in that press conference especially was very stupid. I think on the whole she's a nice competitor, and I think it's like fun that she's playful and says things that are a bit different to what people would say if they're just going by the book. And I think overall really like she's respectful and stuff. And yeah, a lot of the time she's going to feel like I was shit and I could have beaten this person because I think I'm better than them. But that's how every athlete feels. Like all the top ones, especially, they're gonna look at someone that they've beaten before, or that they feel they're better than, or that they've got more ranking points than, and they're gonna say, "I'm better than you." Most of the time, they don't say it.
Yeah.
But it's just people pretending that she's like uniquely evil, and everyone else is so generous and loving, and oh, you're so excellent, you're so much better than me. No, people aren't fucking like that.
No. And yeah, I just hope she really gets to move on from it, and she still should. I think she still is. Should still be in her prime, and yeah, there's no reason for her not to be, honestly, in that type of match again and again because she's just that good, and that's interesting and that's exciting. And I just don't want this to be something that really haunts her and like actually even cuts her prime short. That's really what I'm a bit afraid of, honestly.
I did feel something. I mean, I've made a million predictions about Sabalenka over the years that have been wrong because I think she's so hard to read and she grows and improves so much more than like every other player, pretty much. So I don't think the things that I believe have been accurate very often. I did feel something shifted with that semi-final loss to Anisimova. It did feel a little bit like, I'm not convinced you can. I don't have that much faith and trust in her to always be able to continue being able to walk her way to the later stages, the finals of slams, in the way that, like, okay, the first 2 ones this year she really did, and she didn't convert them. But if she kept putting herself in that position, you'd think she will convert enough of them. I don't know. It just felt maybe I'm again like could just be completely wrong, and she wins the next one. Also, wouldn't be surprised by that, but. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's something made me, after watching that, something made me think I don't think she's going to win a ton more than 3. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you asked me, like after Australia even, I would have said pushing 10, maybe. And now I'm a bit more like 5?
Yeah.
Which is like, it's quite dramatic for that to have halved. Yeah. But she is missing a lot of these good opportunities, and then they might keep coming forever, but you need to take some of them.
Yeah. We shall see as always, but
yeah,
tough scenes for Sabalenka Nation, I guess.
Any other worthy sort of storylines from the women's draw? Sonic Cartel was a nice story for the Brits to get involved in, and her compatriot Emma as well, who we did talk about quite a bit. Good level from her. Yeah, that's true. I also had, of course, I wanted to talk about Samsonova. We don't have to spend it on her. She's still. It's not happening.
It should, though. You know,
she'll win her. I said this before. Very, 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 very good at tennis. Not a good tennis player.
Yeah.
If she wins a 1,000 at some point, that would be excellent.
So it's just so much to like about what she does. And I was watching her against Iga when she was finally playing well that match. She was moving so well. So well. She was pushing Iga to make errors because her movement was just so great. That doesn't even sound real, you know? And she can literally do anything. And that's why I can't ever fully give up on her.
Who is my equivalent of Samsonova? Like, it's just a player who's just like a wildly overrate. I'm sure I have one because I know there's like
Concerto?
No.
Good tournament for her. She played well.
And I feel like she's played Samsonova before. Maybe in Wimbledon.
Maybe.
No, she lost to Bencic. No, Concerto thing is a joke. Like, she's a scrub that I like. Samsonova for you, it's like maybe like Anisimova was a bit like that for me. Like, yeah, interesting. So what do you see like Samsonova's peak? Of course, it's a top 3 peak on tour, but what is it in terms of results?
You know, as for as long as like if one of Sabalenka or Swiatek keep like somehow failing to make finals like too often, why she can make a final? Why couldn't she be a slam finalist? You know, I don't get why Pauline can do it twice and she couldn't do it once. You know, we keep being harsh on Pauline. That's rude. I'll switch to someone else. I don't get why.
No, Pauline is the right one. There's no other 2-time slam finalist who is the same.
I'll go with one that you like. If Pegula can make a slam final, I don't know why she couldn't.
Yeah, well, Pegula did it because it was like, you know, there's like. You're on a holiday, group holiday with friends, and everyone decides, you kind of think it's fair that everyone cooks one time, but there's someone there who's just a shit cook. But everyone else has had their turn, and they're like, okay, I guess it's me now. And then they make like pasta that's way overcooked. That was Pegula making the US Open final, is that everyone else had just had their turn.
This is crazy. And this is sometimes, this is why I know we can't be a big tennis podcast, Can you imagine the fucking shit we say?
I
being like all over Twitter or something.
I think that was like fine.
She's not shit at tennis,
She's not shit at tennis. No, she's not shit at tennis. I mean, amongst the elites. But bearing in mind, this is comparing a friend's holiday with like people who are going to make a slam final, right? So she's the worst cook of the like 0.001% of people in history who make a slam final.
Sure, I'll give you that.
So you're going on holiday with like Michelin star chefs.
Yeah. Happens to me often.
I mean, the thing is, there's like a different vibe of player between players I think could win 1000s and players I think could make slam finals. And for me, Samsonova, it's like unbelievable peak where you can beat anyone but short. Players who make slam finals to me are like decent peak where you can beat every player who's put in front of you, and apart from that one person in the draw who will beat you. It's like, but it has to be more sustained. And I think of Samsonova as like a shorter high level. I put her winning 2 1000s over her making a slam final.
Okay. Jastrzębska made the slam semi-final.
Yes, and?
Samsonova should be able to do that twice over at least. She's way better than her.
Yeah, well, she has got time. It's like she does have peaks throughout the year, but they don't seem to coincide with slams. Although she's been good since before Roland Garros. She loves her 500s. Yeah. Big 500 merchant. Okay. Well, there you go. There's your Samsonova segment. No one else on the women's side. I mean, Krejcikova's injured.
I was actually felt really bad for her because it felt like she found some form playing wise. Did Krejcikova, but just didn't have it physically against Navarro, which was really heartbreaking. You could tell she wanted to do well so much. It was really, really sad.
She needed to ride that London Eye again. The Czech story with Wimbledon is so fascinating because it's like there's every player has heartbreak and like elation. The way that Vondrousova lost last year, where she was defending champion, kind of still injured. And the same thing with Krejcikova, like they're just, I don't know what they are doing over there. Do you think the physical trainer, the British physical trainer, does Czech as well? He's like does them both. Because it's just like, is it in the DNA? Like that's it's not, because that's probably like a xenophobic suggestion.
Oh yeah, that's kind of eugenics related.
Yeah, exactly. I don't believe in this, but like feels like a shocking coincidence that we've got at least 3 incredibly talented Czech players who spend like maybe 50% of the last 3, 4, 5 years being injured, and between them have 3 slams. 2 other slam finals. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just a coincidence.
Yeah. And that's kind of all I had. Rebecca also kind of a shocking, disappointing run, but I guess we are still seeing more of that these days. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think with regard to the men, I don't think there's anything especially interesting aside from the overall early round upsets, which spreads across men's and women's.
And I do think there is something to say about like so many of those happening at Wimbledon specifically, because and it also ties into the women having 9 different winners in the past 9 editions. No one is good on grass. At the end of the day, that kind of is my takeaway. It's like some great players are kind of just turn out to be great everywhere, and that makes sense because the surfaces just aren't as different as they used to be, but they play so little on it, and you just don't have lots of players who are especially good on grass. They can be as good, and they can be, but more often than not, actually, they're worse. And so I think that really enables the amount of upsets, and also on the men's, you get so many more matches who just feel more random with like tie breaks and everyone holding all the time. So yes, that's kind of where I'm at with like the upsets. You can have like a closer reading of it when you like focus on, I don't know, like Tsitsipas not being in the right headspace and Musetti being injured. You know, the closer you go, the better explanations you have. But if you want to make like a broader sweeping statement, it is that's it. You know, no one is actually good on grass is my thing.
And like an extension of that, the level is lower. Like you just never get, I don't think you really ever, in at least in recent times, get a match where or like any matches that the highest level is on grass, if that makes sense. You never think, yeah, this tournament had loads of super high level matches. They're still entertaining, and because like all of the differences that you get from that, but it's just necessarily going to be more missed returns, less incredible defense, you know, all this kind of stuff. I also do think that I was thinking that like I think I said it at some point, being good, it does not mean you're good on grass, and like who's good on grass is like almost entirely detached from who is good overall, or like especially elite. Coco has really struggled in the last few years on grass ever since she made the first fourth round that she made, and she made the fourth round in 2022, I think it was, as well. But considering how elite she is, you know, most of the rest of the season, a lot of the time, it's like, and it's just really just a different set of people who are good, basically, is my point. Very few people have an overlap, really.
Yeah, but I do think eventually,
especially on men,
if you're bound to be like literally like elite all-time great level talent, you'll figure it out. You'll find your way.
Yeah, but you know, there's almost by definition not many of them.
Yeah,
but you look at Zverev, Tsitsipas, Medvedev was okay for a bit there, but
mid to semis back to back.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, Medvedev and Tsitsipas, Zverev and Tsitsipas and like team and all of them.
They were just never good.
Never good on it, and it's just and Casper Ruud. I mean, he doesn't even play. Like, there's players who you'd look at.
He gave up.
Yeah, there's players that you'd look at before a 1000 or a Slam to make semi-finals and final. Everywhere else that just like have a losing record at Wimbledon or something ridiculous like that. It's always like the crafty players, the serve bots, and the Brits, and the all-time greats.
Yeah,
that's just who's always left in the tournament. Yeah.
And I guess if we are talking about the earlier rounds,
Benjamin Bonzi.
He did his big one, I guess, and not more than that. Not any more than that.
I think he played 5 sets against someone good. Jarry, maybe.
Shout out to Jarry. Good run. He played some entertaining matches. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed him. And yeah, I guess I don't know if we mentioned him at all. New height for Flavio Cobolli. You know, someone who is really fantastic mover, probably still the biggest asset in his game, and who I did think, well, for the whole like year and a month that I have known about him, I've
since that whole Garoon match at Roland Garros.
Literally, yes, I thought he had good potential to do things and improve. Low-key, I can see top 10 stuff for him.
We did talk about him actually because he obviously was in the quarterfinals, and in our quarterfinals preview we talked about him.
That's fair.
Yeah, I've decided he's great. I've seen like 8 shots of him, but for me he's a male Elisabetta Cocciaretto.
High praise.
Which is very high praise from me. No, but I mean really, like, have a bright future because Fonseca's still there. I don't know how to feel about him.
He did pretty well.
He did, but then it's the same with Mirror, that like, okay, maybe we're expecting too much too soon, but like maybe we need to expect that much. Like, it's strange to be a prodigy who gets to a level and then seems to kind of just stay there. Like, we want you to be like this.
Yeah.
And if it means that you start that later, then you go like this, if you know what I mean. Although, you know, I guess all of that's pretty. It could be kind of thrown out the window, because really Coco was quite like that. There were times I remember someone said to me in the end of 2022 that by the end of next year, Linda Fruhvirtova will be better than Coco.
Aged. Yes. Badly. That's really wild.
Yeah, so...
It's that we shouldn't judge people based on bad tennis predictions, because we have a few of those.
But
that's
this
shocking.
is a weird thing to say, yeah. But anyway, my point was On have a pretty good future, because I think Kaboli's better than I really expected him to be. Like, this is a quarterfinal that's come way earlier than I thought it would. Fonseca, Iga, Ben Shelton, Sam's new fave. He knows how to pick him.
To be fair, Iga was already literally like number one when they made that pick. It's like, well, really risky.
Yeah, but they probably got her for like nothing, because she's not got the marketability. Those of you listening on audio platforms, I'm doing the quotation marks thing, but she's not got the marketability of everyone else, so I think they probably got her for like a lower rate, but actually in the long term it's going to pay off. It's a good
investment. Yeah.
Look at us talking about finance. Like we fucking know anything.
We can do it all.
Was there any other Draper?
No,
actually, I do think the men's side was quite characterised by people who were bit injured, bit ill, and I don't know if we mentioned this, but I think Draper was ill.
And I guess in both RG and Wimbledon, he lost to players with like exceptional power and like ability to finish points and to take you out of points that basically no one else has. Cilic on grass on like a good day, that's really, really tough, because you just know he'll hit 9,000 winners, and sometimes you just don't. You can easily feel like you just don't have control of that match, and Bublik in that one was probably also kind of the same. That's something he'll need to figure out when he feels like he's being outgunned, to find ways to keep that match competitive, maybe make it physical or something, But yeah, for me, his stock shouldn't be lowered much as a result of this stretch.
It's probably a rite of passage as well, like those upsets where it feels like a big upset, and like the players like rise to the occasion. For Bublik, that was a huge win, and for Cilic probably as well, because he's a million years old.
Yeah,
that is something I also kind of noted, especially about the men's side, is that it was a bit of a parade of the oldies, especially like it was like maybe round 2 or round 3 where all of Dimitrov, Monfils, Cilic, Djokovic. Struff. Yeah, Struff is 10 years older than I think he is.
Yeah, he's really like 38.
I don't understand. I think he's 35.
Okay, I made that up.
I don't understand how he got there, but yeah, loads of old players. And again, this kind of feeds into the thing about on grass. Probably having the years behind you is helpful, because you've just had more competitive playing time on grass, and the physicality is not such a big deal. But yeah, good for them. I always like to see the old people do well. And Dimitrov, he will get his Madison Keys moment.
I sure hope so. I mean, that's kind of...
You hate him.
No.
You hate him. You call him Flop Mitrov. Don't make me bring up the receipts.
Sure, he used to be... He started playing better and, deserves a bit less of my...
Oh, you hated him because you thought he was bad?
Because I felt like he was overhyped a bit.
Right. He was like your Mukova. How Mukova is to lots of players.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, I do feel bad for him, because the tennis is pretty amazing, but the body is so bad, so rough. But yeah. Official
statement from Sam: Dimitrov's body is bad. Tell that to that one Twitter account.
It's attractive, surely, but it's not fit for purpose.
Before I forget, seeing as it's Wimbledon, and actually we're talking about players who are notable. Do you know what I'm going to say?
No.
Oh, okay. Ons Jabeur wrote a little note on Twitter today saying that she was taking what I hope is a hiatus from from tennis, not from Twitter. The concept of Ons writing a note saying she's taking a hiatus from Twitter.
She's Selena Gomez with Instagram, she's like...
All those fucking stan pages that say like their fave will lose. Alison Risk will lose, and they'll say I'm taking a hiatus. Ons said she's taking a hiatus from Twitter, or from, oh my god, I've said it again! From tennis. I hope it's a hiatus. It kind of read as though I'm taking a break, but she never said when she was coming back. Yeah. I tried not to read it because I thought if I properly read this and like read the comments and stuff, I'm gonna get really, really, really sad because she's so fucking great, and I love her, and I love her tennis, and I love her personality, and like such an asset to women's tennis in every way, like in literally every way. So I hope, like, it obviously seems like something she needs, but I really hope it isn't goodbye. I hope it's not a Muguruza thing.
Yeah, I don't see her like doing the like quiet quitting thing that Muguruza did when she just kept going on vacation and kind of never left. She like kept delaying, so they fly back, and she was like, oh well, actually I'm never playing again. But I doubt she'll do that. I don't think so.
I hope not, because she's 31, maybe. I think she's like the same age as Pegula.
Is she even? Maybe.
I think she's.
Is Pegula 31?
Pegula's 30. I think I'm counting down the years for when she's not going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really hope. I mean, obviously the most important thing is like she can find her happiness as well, because like one big thing that she mentioned was that it wasn't enjoyable for her anymore, and you could see that if you watched, you could tell it was difficult. She was injured on and off. There must have just been constant rehab. Fire your fitness coach, by the way. Yeah, and I hope it's not goodbye, and like the dream is really that she has a great time away and she enjoys it, but she realizes she really fucking misses it, and she comes back and she's in love with it the way that she was when she was good, and then she wins Wimbledon, and then she wins the US Open, and then she wins the Australian Open, and then she wins Roland Garros. Wow. Low expectations.
I literally was about to say that, yeah. No, but yeah, I hope, in general, she'll find some joy from that break, and makes her way to tennis again, hopefully.
Any other people worth talking about? Kvitova played her last Wimbledon, but I think she's going to play in.
She's playing the US Open at least.
Also, one last ride. Mm-hmm. Come on.
One big upset.
If so, we will keep talking about women going to best of 5. Let's go to best of 1 for Petra's last tournament.
If they can just make up a format for the mixed doubles, maybe they can.
Yeah, exactly.
Like doing for women's first round. It's best of 1.
Or do a women's over 30s that's best of 1.
That would be so wild. Okay.
They should do. We need to start bringing gimmicks into tennis. This is how you should do a US Open singles this year for the women. Actually, for the men as well. You split the draws in half. One draw, it's under 30s, and they play best of 5, men and women. Mm-hmm. The other draw, over 30s, they play best of 1, men and women. And then the winner of the best of 1 over 30s plays the winner of the best of 5 under 30s on both sides. Who doesn't want that?
I suspect a few people.
I mean, you're not going to get a worse women's final than Wimbledon.
That's true.
Yeah. Any other notes on what we saw this week? Last week, last 2 weeks?
Yeah, no. I am quite interested to see how the US hardcourt swing unfolds, especially on the women's side.
As ever.
Yeah, as ever. For the men, Sinner is looking even scarier than she normally would,
but
I think.
There is an interesting element, because am I right in saying it's unlikely imagine he wins Canada, would he play Cincinnati? Or would he... Maybe
it's a he'd skip it to make sure he's fully on it for the US Open. But
because then he's also got, there's a lot of post-US Open to go to where he can gain a lot of points. So there is a chance that we could have an open 1,000. No Poprian, please. I'm not interested in that, but someone else.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess when both Canada and Cincy are now 12 days, as a top player, if you do well in Canada, I mean, there's like a pretty big incentive to just keep Cincy, you know?
And we've already seen lots of women's players pull out of Canada,
yeah. Sabalinka is basically just pick Cincy. Like, I'll do Cincy US Open once again, which I can see for her.
Yeah. But we will talk about all of that more, I guess, next episode. What else is there to talk about apart from...
Or experiences attending?
Yeah, so as I mentioned at the top of the episode, and throughout loads and loads, we talk about it all the time, both Sam and I went to Wimbledon separately, but it was Sam's first time. Why don't you just go ahead, talk a bit about your experience, because then the people will know what goes on.
Sure. So, I didn't enter the ballot because for some reason I thought it was like British people only, which is really stupid in hindsight.
They should make it that.
Yeah. So of course I didn't have ticketed. I didn't have entry to the ticketed course and couldn't come at like a normal time, which is what I do when I go to Roland Garros basically. I couldn't do that. So I decided to queue to attend Wimbledon, which is what people do when they don't have tickets to center court number 1 or court number 2. So what you do is you queue, which means basically standing in more or less one place or sitting. You can sit, which is actually pretty huge.
Imagine if they made you stand. That would be insane.
Yeah, but when you picture like a queue, you picture people like standing behind one another, which isn't quite what this is. So it's actually better. Yeah. So I did that on day 2. I showed up at like 7 something in the morning. Yeah, AM. And I was number like 9,000 something in the queue, which basically means I got in at like 1 p.m. ish. So from there you can attend matches on the outside course, which is nice. There are loads of people on basically every course. So if you are like on a super small court, you need to be a bit strategic about it, which means show up when like a set is about to end or like a match is about to end. So there are people obviously who want to leave, like go get a drink or whatever. So you can stick in and get to see that way.
That's for the seated courts.
Yeah, no, that's for the like really small outside courts. Every court has seats.
Right, yeah, but some of them are just benches, like.
Kind of. Some of them are very, very few seats, so you have to be like strategic about when you try to seek one. And then there are like bigger courts that are basically like smaller versions of the ticketed courts. Like actually, court number 2 is right by court number 12, and they kind of like look the same. Those are actually I really do like, because you can kind of show up whenever. You have to queue a little bit. But it's like so it's like organized, which means people will like tell you when you can come in, and they'll like find you a spot basically, which I do really, really enjoy. So that was good. But beyond that, I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. But when you do come with ground passes, it's pretty unlikely that you'll get to watch like 4 or 5 matches. That's not really, I don't think, a thing. It's more about like going from one court to another and like trying to find a court that is maybe like a match and a half that you will enjoy, so that you can, stay in the same spot for a few hours. And then also enjoying other things, going to eat something, sitting on the hill, which is often quite busy, but still, if you're like a bit smart about it, you can also find a good seat and just watch the center court match, the big court matches on like screens, and just chill. It's a great venue.
I think so.
Oh yeah, I love it. It's just nice to be there and to be in that atmosphere and to enjoy.
I've never sat on the hill.
Really? I actually spent quite a lot of it. I actually watched the only set Iga lost from the hill.
So, yeah, maybe it's a good thing you didn't stay there for longer.
Yeah, literally, I left. I was actually pretty pissed off because she was playing like shit. Like, okay, I'll go see something else. But yeah, it's the whole thing was enjoyable. I will say, if you can go with someone else, at least someone else to queue with you.
Which is what you did on the
the other day.
4.
Yeah, I was by myself on day 2, and that's when you can really feel just the time. I had stuff to read. I had my phone, whatever. It's not like you're like bored to death. But it's just, it gets pretty long and pretty lonely.
And this is what I spoke to quite a lot of people who are like regular people who said that they'd queued and they showed up at 5 a.m. and I was like, wow, feels like a big commitment. But they were like, no, we went with a big group of friends, and then it's just hanging out.
It's literally hanging out in the park,
yeah.
And then you have even something more to look forward to, which I do think is nice.
I think it's like the one thing is it's tiredness and like the weather. I think this year was pretty, but this year was quite solid in that, like, I think normally being in a park at 5 a.m. could be really cold, but this year went the other way. So how do you think it kind of compared to Roland Garros?
I would need to attend Roland Garros with like ground passes to have like the full comparison, because that's actually the main difference. But I do think the venue is just better. I think there is just an atmosphere vibe, like, and it's just cool to walk around and see all this like, pristine grass courts early on. Then they get kind of messed up. But yeah, that's. And so many traditions that are fun. The strawberries, all of it.
Did you have some?
Yeah, they were good.
They are good. They are good, and I think they're actually not that expensive.
Yeah, no, it's like
£2.70, I think. Yeah, which is like
literally the least expensive thing in the whole venue.
Yeah, maybe there's some kind of royal decree on how much they have to cost. I also went on the first Friday, and I had centre court tickets, very luckily, because my mum applied in the ballot, and I'm kind of still first in line to be her +1, but I don't know how long that'll go on for. But we had centre court tickets, and I arrived early so that I could hopefully try and catch Anisimova match and Naomi match. But then I wasn't super keen on queuing, because I thought, like, I don't have that much time to spend on the ground. So if I got in a queue, I might spend the whole time I'm here queuing and then have to go straight into centre court, which is not the biggest problem to have, but I wanted to have the experience of watching a grounds match. So instead I went and I stood by the side of one of those tiny courts, and I watched a lot of Andreeva Schneider doubles, which was when I realised that Andreeva was not winning Wimbledon this year. But that was those were the really, really small courts that like just have the benches, and I was stood there super close. I was the only one really cheering and clapping. Like, I got really into it, vamosing and stuff. But they are great to see, because that's when you see like really up close tennis. Like, you can see all of the kind of particular movements and how hard they hit, all this kind of stuff. It's such a different experience to watching, even on a big court. The one thing I will say, the first time I went to Wimbledon was in 2021 for the women's semi-finals, and it's second week, so it's a lot emptier, but it felt too busy. Like, I think they let too many people in, and like, of course you want to try and let as many people in as possible, because all these people have come to queue, but I just, like, you said, like, moving around, it's kind of always cramped, and it does. I felt that lessened the experience for me a bit. It's the busiest I've ever seen it.
I think live tennis is bigger than ever by like a mile. Oh yeah, because there's this guy on Twitter who who like compares the like queue numbers based on like what time you arrive, and this year, I got there at like 5 something on day 4, and we were still like 6,000 in the queue, which I think in other years wouldn't have been the case. I think would have been like way further ahead. So literally, and if you are like one of the first 1,500 in the queue, you get show court tickets, which hadn't been sold. So that's how it works. And now, literally, to get those, you need to be there like 24 hours before, basically, which is it's pretty absurd.
Yeah. So not not the way I would like advise. If you're really set on seeing, like, I have to see Djokovic, unless you are interested in doing that long queuing situation, I wouldn't recommend it. Like, I just think it's good for if you've got a group of friends who want to see a bit of tennis and you don't really mind who it is, then it's probably a good way forward. And I guess this was kind of the case for you. You know way more players, so it's far more interesting for you to watch the outside courts than it is for a lot of people who'd be interested in going. But yeah, it's the only slam I've been to, so I'm keen to go to others. I really want to go to the US Open, really, but I know that the tickets are very expensive.
Yeah.
And fuck me, I'm not paying to sit that high up in Ash. Our tickets for centre court were quite high up, and it was still an excellent experience. But I went to the women's final in 2023 and was so close that I was like on camera. Really great seats there. And then once you've had that experience, going up there, it's just a bit like I'd probably rather watch Andreeva from like a front row seat on an outside court. In that scenario, or and the dream to watch Naomi live, I'm still chasing that. It might not happen before she retires.
I haven't had the chance either still.
Yeah, but you've seen Iga loads.
No, once.
Yeah, that's loads. I'm sure that match went on for a really long time.
Extremely long.
It was Navarro or
It was
Collins?
It was Vondrousova.
Oh no. What was that? 6-love, 6-1?
6-2, I think.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll be at the US Open finals for the Sabalenka Iga match. Probably, definitely. Maybe if it happens, which it won't, and therefore we won't have to go. What's your dream tournament to go to now?
I mean, Australia actually seems fun because I always, whenever, the Australian swing happens, I'm like at the peak of
first,
like winter depression thing. So I'm like, oh, that seems just so nice to be in Australia, like in the sun watching tennis. So yeah, I'd be keen to go to Australia.
I guess for me, the prospect of like having to go that far away. I would love to go to Indian Wells. For some reason.
Good pick. No, it does seem really lovely.
Yeah.
In real life.
Like if someone said, "I'll pay for your tickets,"
you'll be there.
I'll be there. Yeah, I think that's about it for Wimbledon preview review. As ever, there's going to be a million things that we missed that I think are worthy of talking about, like Elizabeta Cocciaretto's excellent run, but in the moment can't cover everything. Any other bits? When are we gonna? What are we gonna be chatting about next? I don't even know what's going on at the moment.
Yeah, I mean there are like a bunch of 250s this week that I'll not watch much of, if any. Probably not any, honestly.
The only one I'm interested is the one that Shapovalov is in, and it's like
Los
right in the
Cabos?
middle of the night. Yeah, so
yeah, if Boisson is like in the final of Hamburg, maybe I'll watch, I guess. But if not, I mean, I'll probably wait until like maybe the semis or final of Washington, which is next week.
Okay, so what we would do a review of, would that be the week before the 1000s?
Before Canada, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we'd come back and we'd do a preview of Canada.
Yeah, maybe.
And a little review of the hard court so far.
Yeah, and clay. They're also playing on clay.
Fucking hell, of course they are. They equaling Casper Ruud.
He's right there. It's actually, you know what's really annoying me about this week? There is both Bastad and Gstaad.
Yeah. But they're in different countries.
Yes.
Båstad is Sweden.
Yes.
And Stad, as posh people say, is in Switzerland.
Hmm.
Right.
But you're like checking for results, and like the
Yeah.
tournament is like.
Also,
That's
they've got nonsense names that's like their sponsor or
oh
whatever.
yeah,
It's never just like the place. And
Nordia
you don't.
Open
Yeah. Okay.
and EFG Swiss Open Gestart.
Yeah. Fuck that. And then Los Cabos has a similar name to
It's so funny. It's Mifer Tennis Open by Telcel Oppo.
yeah, who are the Telcel of the people who also did that other Acapulco.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know. It must be so confusing working in tennis.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll be back to preview Canada, I guess.
Mm-hmm. As always, thank you for taking the time to listen
And or watch.
and or watch because we are now YouTubers. So do your thing, smash that subscribe button.
Yeah, and so far since I last checked, the first video we posted only has likes, no dislikes. This is going to be the best, easiest, least stressful period because I think from here it's only going to go downhill. Please, if you want to dislike, just move on. Jessica Pagula, if you're listening to this, I do respect you.
And I actually do like you a lot.
I like her. I like her personality.
Great press conferences, like
Yeah.
amazing, elite, you could say.
Solid and consistent.
Not so inconsistent, amazing and elite and exciting.
Okay. All right.
And
Do you think
enriching.
this is an interesting thing? Do you think that how good someone is at tennis is like inversely proportional to how good they are at press conferences?
Not quite, no.
Because Iga's like you don't like
Hmm.
really look forward to that as an occasion.
She has had some moments lately, but anyways, thank you for checking in and taking the time. I think we didn't go even that long for the Wimbledon review,
Are
but
you joking?
that's 2 hours. That's not even that bad.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you for taking the time. We hope you took anything from it, and that please check back with us in a few weeks' time. And in the meantime, enjoy the tennis or not the tennis if if you like me are not keen to watch right now. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.